ओम तत्सत दाता याद है. Let us talk today heart to heart. As I'm feeling burnt, in pain, abundance pain, let us talk how humans behave like animals. Terrorism. Just a word, isn't it? The true meaning of the word is no brain, no emotions, nothing like humans. Recruiting the lost. How terrorism preys on broken identities and abandoned dreams. Let's talk about that today. Let's talk with open heart, with love, with compassion, with empathy. Not only to those who are killed, but also for those who killed them. Let's understand. Not all who join terrorist groups are evil. Not all. And I'm not saying that those who join are not evils, but not all. Some are lost, some are lonely, some are just trying to belonging, isn't it? Trying to belong to something, to somewhere. And while it's easy to see terrorists as monsters, the truth is more complicated. And more human, to be honest. Terrorist doesn't always spring from an inherent desire to cause harm. It's a reaction to deeply unmet psychological needs and inability to find meaning in a world that feels overwhelming and disconnected. Isn't it true? Reaction of what? After a reaction of what? Reaction of what? Their feelings. But through the actions of whom? Their feelings, the terrorists' feelings, the monsters' feelings. But through the actions of whom? Please understand it. Please. Understand it. Actions of organized groups called organizations. A group of such organizations is nothing but so-called religion, Dharma. A religion. But truly speaking, nothing more than an organization, a religion. Nothing more than an organization. And that too, purely commercial. That has got nothing to do with Dharma, nothing to do with religion, but to achieve organizational gains, but to achieve. And those gains are more personal than even organizations' goals. What if the terrorism is not always born out of hatred, but out of emptiness? Out of emptiness. Through this talk, I want to explore not just ideology, but psychological vulnerability makes individuals susceptible to radicalization and how we can intervene before it is too late. Let's delve into the root cause and understand the minds that are recruited, not just by doctrine, but their emotional and psychological voids. What is that anatomy of a recruit? Who gets drawn in? The media often portrays a single image of the terrorist, a young man from a disenfranchised background, indoctrinated by extremist ideas. That's a true image anyway. But psychology tells us a more nuanced story. The reality is that radicalization does not follow a straightforward path. Radicalization doesn't. Nor does it depend solely on exposure of extremist doctrine. According to Dr. Clark McCauley and Sofia Moskilenko, their theory, two pyramids model of radicalization. Not everyone who supports extremist ideas turn into violence. Not everyone. Right? And not everyone who becomes violent does so because they hold extremist beliefs initially. Instead, the radicalization process is complex. It is. Believe me, it is. With many stages that vary from individual to individual. Nonetheless, several psychological factors seem to be common among these recruits, you can say. And what are those? As a peaceful world, as humans who want peace, as humans who want to bring justice to the earth, what are those common factors among recruits in terrorism? One, I think, identity crisis, the biggest one. Identity crisis. A sense of confusion about one's place in this world. Two, perceived injustice. Or you can say humiliation. A feeling of being oppressed or betrayed. By the society. And three, human weakness, desire for belonging, a longing to be part of a community for some moments, desire for belonging. 4, need for significance. Why I'm born? Who am I? That kind of feeling. The desire to matter, to be seen as important. To be seen as something, not just the West. 5, cognitive closure, black and white thinking. The tendency to see the world in rigid terms, that tendency, with clear distinction between right and wrong. What is right? What is wrong? Clear distinction, black and white. What is good? What is evil? That differentiation in black and white terms. These psychological vulnerabilities are not the hallmark of monsters. They are the traits of individual pain. And in reality, they are. I'm crying for those who were killed, so that these monsters, we can stop them to become monsters. So these are the traits of individuals in pain, yearning for answers and stability in a confusing and our chaotic world today. What is the role of identity? What is the role of identity? Think about it. Who am I? Where do I belong? Isn't it? Perhaps the most crucial factor in understanding why individuals are drawn into terrorist ideology is identity confusion. And that's what it is. That's what it is. We need to recognize that. As peaceful soldiers of the world, you can fight, you can have war. And I'm not against them, to be honest. See, I believe in karma, I believe in action, right? I say, you do something and you will have to bear the consequences of those actions. God will give you that. Good actions will bring you good fruits, bad actions will bring you bad fruits. I don't want to sort of explore it to an extent where my pain for them who are killed is visible in my eyes. But if God can punish those who have broken religion, those who have broken Dharma, which I call our own eternal and internal sanskars, impressions on the soul, like empathy, like love, the 12 sanskars which I have spoken about many times. If God can punish humans for not doing the right thing in their future births, then the Samvidhan, the constitution of today's world, constitutions of different countries, constitutions is also a dharma, but that is a man-made dharma. So if you are going even against that, then that dharma has the first responsibility to punish bad actions. And that's where I come from. That's where I believe. And that's what I think, that they should not go unpunished in this world. So at least those people who protect Constitution, the man-made Dharma, you can say, at least they don't do any bad action. At least they punish. They bring justice to people who have been harmed. And then God will do his job, because God is rule and rules cannot be broken. That will happen. The role of identity I was talking about. Who am I? And where do I belong? I'm talking about from monster's point of view. Their feeling. Perhaps the most crucial factor, as I said before, is identity confusion, which brings them into terrorist ideology. I guess many recruits, especially young people, right, feel an overwhelming sense of alienation. They might experience disconnection from their families or even themselves, for that matter. For adolescents and young adults, this is often exacerbated by the identity versus role confusion. What is the identity and what is the role? As described by Erickson, a pivotal movement in psychological development where individuals are trying to answer the fundamental question, who am I? We need to understand that. Suppose they fail to form a stable sense of identity. Suppose. In that case, they become vulnerable to anyone who offers them a clear, uncomplicated sense of self-worth, a purpose, a cause. However radical or violent it might be. In many cases, terrorist groups provide just that. They offer belonging, meaning, and identity, clear identity to those who have lost their way. Words, like, for example, you are one of us. You have meaning now. We see you. We need you. These messages hold immense power for those who have been marginalized, overlooked, or misunderstood by the society. They promise to give them a place where they can feel valued. For many individuals, the terrorist ideology doesn't start with the desire to hurt others. And I'm just thinking, it cannot. It begins with the desire to find themselves. The radical group who become a surrogate family, a new identity to latch onto, a source of support and purpose. In this way, they may find themselves drawn into violent actions, not because of pure hatred, but because the group has offered them a space in which they are validated and empowered. That's the power of significance. From nobody to somebody. power of significance. One of the most influential psychological needs is to need to matter, isn't it? The quest for significance. The power of significance from nobody to somebody. I think according to Arie Kruglanski's quest for significance, that's the theory given by him. When people feel powerless, humiliated, or insignificant, they may resort to extreme measures to regain a sense of self-worth. This is often where extremist ideologies step in, and we need to understand that. Not only understand, but I think we need to know that in reality. If you want to kill the terrorism in the world from its roots. The allure of terrorism is not always ideological. It is psychological. Extremist groups are, those who are extremist groups, what they offer. They offer recruits the opportunity to gain significance through violence and sacrifice. That's it. Your martyrdom will make history, for example. You're just another face. You are chosen. Like that. Such messages speak to a deep, unfulfilled need for recognition and validation. Isn't it? Isn't it? They reframe personal pain and insecurity as noble suffering, turning feeling into worthlessness, into a powerful tool for recruitment. And that's it. That's the fact. This need for significance is why terrorist groups can often attract individuals who might not have ideological commitment to violence initially, but who are searching for a way to prove their importance and leave a mark on the world. The drive for significance overrides any rational considerations. When an individual feels invisible in their everyday life, the promise of becoming someone significant, someone who will be remembered in the society, can feel overwhelming, powerful, isn't it? The terrorist group often offers, offer them this opportunity to become not just a person, but an identity, but a symbol of huge significance to the nation, to the religion, to those groups who use them. Think for a minute. Why rational arguments fail? Think about it. Why rational arguments fail when confronting radicalization? It's easy to believe that simply providing facts will change someone's beliefs will change someone's mind. Violence is wrong. You are being manipulated. However, radical beliefs are not just intellectual. They are often emotional, existential, and identity-based. Changing someone's beliefs requires more than presenting evidence. It requires engaging with the deeper emotional and psychological factors. In fact, confirmation bias and motivated reasoning often make rational arguments ineffective, to be honest. When individuals adopt to a new group of identity, they begin to seek our information that supports their beliefs and dismiss information and challenges them. This psychological mechanism makes it harder for logical alone to dismantle the worldview they have embraced. Radicalization isn't simply about facts. It's not. It's about emotional bonds, identity formation, and the need to belong somewhere. This is why interventions focused on providing evidence-based arguments may fall short. A rational discourse alone cannot compete with the emotional satisfaction. Cannot. And psychological validation provided by the extremist group, it cannot. Only by addressing the emotional identity-related needs that drive radicalization can we hope to make progress in countering terrorism? Can we? Another significant psychological factor that contributes to radicalization is social isolation. Social isolation. Through social identity theory, you all know that. We understand that people define themselves largely by the groups they belong to. That is a social identity theory, who you belong to. These groups become essential to their sense of self, whether it's political, religious, whatever. But that social identity is also important. As an individual becomes more entrenched in their in-group, they start to see the out-groups who are not part of that group as inferiors or even dangerous. Echo chambers, both online and offline, and nowadays, in today's world, heaps of them amplify this effect. Isolated individuals often gravitate towards groups or forums that reinforce their existing beliefs. And the more isolated they are, the more radicalized their worldview becomes. We are not just fighting ideologies. We are not. We are fighting psychological enmeshment. The process by which individuals become increasingly tied to a group identity, no matter how bad that group is, no matter that how harmful to the world and to the community and to the society that group is, they become increasingly tied to that group identity that is reinforced by selective exposure to certain ideas. And echo chambers? Echo chambers isolate individuals from diverse perspectives and expose them only to a view that confirms their biases. And this can escalate feelings of paranoia and hatred, making it easier for extremist ideologies to take root. As their worldview narrows, it becomes more resistant to change, reinforcing the cycle of radicalization. If we, as humans, as world citizens, and as God's children, if we are to break the cycle of radicalization, we must focus on addressing the psychological vulnerabilities that fuel it. Those vulnerabilities, I think that there are 4 evidence-based approaches that can be effective. 1, early identity support. Early identity support. And we all have to work towards that. All governments, all social organizations, all good humans of the world. One of the most important ways to prevent radicalization is to help individuals from a grounded, flexible sense of identity. Schools, parents, and mentors can support young people as they navigate the confusion of adolescence, encouraging exploration and commitment, key aspects of identity achievement. These are, as described by James Marcia. When young people develop a strong, flexible sense of self, they are most resilient to extremist ideologies that offer them a rigid, one-size-fits-all identity idea. Providing an environment that encourages open discussion, self-exploration, and personal growth can prevent young people from seeking an identity in extremist ideologies. Creating safe space for identity development can make it easier for individuals to reject the oversimplified worldview by these monsters, by these terrorist groups. Number 2, narrative theory. Many individuals who become radicalized carry with them a narrative of trauma or victimhood. Narrative theory or therapy helps individuals rewrite their stories, shifting from positions of powerlessness and victimhood to agency and empowerment. By changing the narrative, individuals can become and begin to see themselves not as objects of hate, but as agents of change. This approach has helped individuals challenge the stories they tell themselves about their lives, reframing their experiences of suffering and injustice into narratives of empowerment and resilience. And number 3, cognitive flexibility training. Radical ideologies thrive on black and white thinking, black and white. Cognitive flexible training teaches individuals to tolerate complexity and ambiguity through mindfulness. Dialectical behavior therapy or other approaches, in psychological theory. It challenges the idea that the world must be divided into clear, absolute categories. Learning to see the world in more nuanced terms can break the psychological grip of extremist beliefs. Helping individuals see the gray areas in life allows them to reconsider rigid, dichotomous thinking, creating a more open-minded and flexible worldview. And number 4, common reintegration programs. Programs like Denmark's Arthas model show that the reintegration is possible. It is. Rather than punishing individuals who have been radicalized, these programs provide mentorship, counseling, education, and support to help them re-enter society as productive citizens. Rather than treating them as criminals, these programs treat them as individuals who need healing, connection, and guidance. By offering an alternative path to belonging and significance, these programs help individuals find meaning in positive, constructive ways, ultimately reducing the appeal of radical ideologies. Through this talk, as a living Dwij ambassador, as Param Dwij, I've said what I could say, in extreme pain, and also with full of compassion to every particle, object, and soul in the world. My view is that the war with terrorism is psychological. We can never bomb our way to peace. We can never. We can never shame people out of extremism. The true battle is psychological. It's a fight for meaning, belonging, and significance. Until we address these psychological needs, we will continue to see radicalization, and not just in far-flung corners of the world, but within our communities as well. The question we need to ask is no longer how do we stop the terrorists, but rather what can we do before they pick up the gun? What can we do? The war on terrorism is not just a war on violence. It's a war on the emptiness that fuels it. Let us fight the war against those who plan it, create it, and do it. Let's fight that war. I'm not asking to stop it. They must be punished. That's the justice of humans against wrongs. God will do His job. Let us all punish them in actions, thinking. Let us all punish them, even in our prayers. They're trying to do something against our will. Not only that, they're trying to do something against His will, God's will. And in this battle, psychology is not a soft science in this war. It is our strongest weapon. With these words, I hope that we will create a world where there is no place for terrorism, where there will be no place for cheating, where we have a world where we live in harmony. The world He created for us. Let's not destroy it. Om Tat Sat.